it's not that we do not want to perform. There is no investor that will want the investment to go bad, but the environment has to be conducive. For example, as we speak, there is no functional exit strategy, what we call stock exchange in the country. And that's a difficult challenge for us. Because if you have an investment platform and you want to sell shares or you want to offload your shares, there is no platform for that as well. Those that are available are actually not adequate. They do not have the adequate ambient to ensure that that will be the highest victim. So we are pushing. So we need government to ensure that this area is actually addressed. It's a very big challenge, and it's affecting us. Even in terms of some of the key macroeconomic variables in the country, the way they are playing, of course, it becomes difficult for us. For example, if we hold funds in the bank without investing them, what do you think will happen if inflation shoots up? It deflates our funds. So this is also critical for us. For underperformance of the economy, it challenges our fund. You declare, let's say, 1 billion amount stuck in one of our accounts. In 3 months, it becomes depleted just by increase in inflation and the interest rate and the foreign exchange rate. These are all challenges. At some point, let's say by end of 2023, you declare that I have 1 billion in my account. Because of exchange rates, and we are receiving money in local currency, by media, you will report less than that because of the exchange rate. So on the performance of the economy, especially the key macroeconomic variables, are actually depleting our funds. They are affecting our performance, and it is telling on us. We continue to see one report, we are look good at some point. So as we speak, we face those challenges. So, Mr. Chairman of the committee, Parliamentary Committee, I think we have numerous challenges, but I will just limit myself to this few. Probably my boss may have some few words.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Kaloko. You have done justice to the paper. Of course, it is clear from his presentation that social security plays a bigger role in achieving the SDGs, and of course, the National Development Plan and the Big Five game changers. In fact, whilst he was doing the presentation, just looking at the first two, which are actually the first two SDGs, which are the principal SDGs, I realized that social security touches on all other SDGs. If you look at one, is talking about eliminating poverty or no poverty. SDG 2 is talking about zero hunger. So it means if you actually have social security that provides income to you, the issue of hunger would be addressed. And SDG 3 talks about health and well-being. If you have funds, you can address your health challenges. And also he mentioned that we are planning to have a social health insurance scheme. So it means social security also addresses SDG 3. There is SDG 8 that talks about decent work and economic growth. Social protection guarantees you a decent job, so that before now, our fathers and uncles used to refuse to retire, but today retirement is lucrative. People would choose to even retire early because they know there is sustainable livelihood after work life. So, in a way, it also addresses SDG 8. Then SDG 10 talks about reducing inequality. Social security itself is risk pooling, and income redistribution is based on principles. Some of the principles that are underpin social security, one is risk pooling and also pooling of resources, such that at the end of the day, we share our risk and we also put our resources together, which in a way addresses or reduces inequality. So, and of course, SDG 16 talks about peace, justice, and strong institutions. When you have all of these at play, society will be harmonious, society will be peaceful, and the issue of SDG 16 would also be addressed in a way. So to me, I see social security permeating all of the SDGs that you have mentioned. So I want to thank you profusely on behalf of board and management for leading this presentation. We now listen to the Honorable House of Parliament for their comments and questions. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the committee, let me also thank you very much for a very detailed presentation, very clear. Actually, you even went further than we have had. So that tells us how far you really prepared for this meeting. Thank you. Honorable members, we have had a presentation. We know we are guided. So, yes.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Deputy.
Yes.
You want me to start?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I want to thank the presenter and the NASSIT for the presentation. I think this shows that you understood the former document and the current document. This presentation is very good. What I will start with is an advice but for me, the most critical one is the encouragement. 2 years ago, we visited this very institution. It came up that we are losing a lot from this encouragement. And if the court is not doing much, maybe because they have their system, then Parliament will raise a motion. The motion can be voted for. In Parliament, nobody will reverse it. It's some of the shortcuts we use. Because some of these, with all due respect to all of us, some of these people who can coach have political backing. And even when they have political backing, our prayer is let the chairman, for example, for the community plan in Greece, that we are going to release this motion on blah parties. When the motion is raised, the speaker put the question and it will pass, for sure, we will return the property to NASSIT. Nothing will stop that. It's a shortcut, it's up to the chairman and it's up to NASSIT. My second area is in relation to customers who have been NASSIT customers from 2002 to 2003. Some are still saying that they don't get reports from NASSIT. And I don't see any reason why NASSIT should not inform their customers based on what is their contribution. I think it's my right, if I'm contributing, to have reports about what I have contributed, whether in written or whatsoever, because that shows that they take me serious for my contribution. And I also see people are paying contribution in some business areas. They don't have numbers. They have their names written on a list, they contribute, but they don't have NASSIT number. So as headquarters, pay attention to the regional offices, cross-check, do more engagement. And you can be assured, if you cannot go on the ground and explain with example from pensioners, trust me, the problem about Sierra Leone, just see the political climate. The worst problem we have got in this country, somebody can just sit in Canada, my home, and press one button. SO2, tomorrow we go free tour, we go attack. Bam. And it's a trouble for the entire country. So let's localize NASSIT work. Let's go into PC, into Malingo, into Kono, into Tini, into Limba. Let people know that I contribute for my future. But most times when we are in our radio programs, we speak too much of English. Trust me, if I'm a laborer working for Kodu Holdings, maybe just a labor, but I pay NASSIT and I don't speak English because, in fact, my boss that supervised me speak Creole to me. Then somebody from NASSIT is at the Eastern Community Radio speaking huge English. I will not understand anything. But if, for example, some of these things are being explained in Kono, in Timini, in Limba, for people to know that the contributions you do is for your future, trust me, they will contribute. And they will ask questions themselves. But why do you think the employees don't ask the employers questions? Because they don't have confidence to ask. They fear. So it's up to NASSIT to go down, to go on ground. Go on ground. It's better you protect the investment now than protect the investment in the next 5 to 10 years. This is the other issue. We are talking about the health scheme. 2018, I witnessed an engagement. 2018 or 2019, I think the DG was a different DG. There were consultants in that engagement that we are talking about this health scheme. You know, somebody from Ghana, get. And from that day to now, this is the second time I'm hearing this issue of health scheme. And to do a hospital state of the art, if you go to Kono, you have a internal hospital of excellence. If you go to Putloko, more than 100-bed hospital has been constructed. If you go to Kaidam, the same. If you come to Kerry Town, look at the one here. So for me, not that don't go and build hospital, but let's PPP with the ones already operating. Just that we protect some of these money before we take 10 or 20 billion to do a hospital. You know, with all due respect to us, the workers, some of these doctors you see, they will work in these hospitals, but trust me, they have their pharmacies. So we lose money to construct, we bring people to manage, and at the end of the day, we still have problem. So we have problem not with NASSIT, but with patriotism. So don't go and spend huge money to build hospital. Trust me, people will go, but they will end up to make another prescription, go to my hospital to buy the medicine or my pharmacy. So you lose money. Imagine they are encroaching now on your land. Some of this land, they show that government gave NASSIT. Some of your signboard in Bo, I saw along Bo Kenem Highway. There is a signboard there. I think there are some structures there. NASSIT building. You know, one time somebody took me there to give me one acre land. I said, Astagfirullah, I said, because I know it's problem. Not because I'm educated, it's because I have been a contributor to NASSIT from 2003. So if me go see NASSIT property, should I go buy it? It's trouble for me. So let's engage. Let's popularize what we are doing. Honorable Chair, this is my contribution. NASSIT really needs to do more. Speaking in Timini will satisfy me. Speaking in Limba will satisfy me. But everyday English, trust me, for the laborers who are working in Kwedu Holdings or in Europe, believe you me, if they say that they cut you money for paying NASSIT, they will say, Astagfirullah, it's a good check. Nobody let no cut money, let them give me the money. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kumar, for the presentation. Mr. Kaloko, okay, thank you very much for your presentation. Of course, one of the things I admire during the presentation was also familiarity with the media nationals of Islam. But my question is going to start with a question that follows that. Are you familiar with the enabler country or the Ministry of Development has developed our own means of meeting the 2030? You know, how are we going to meet the 2030 global? They have localized it into various enablers. And there are some that are directly related to you, which I want to maybe highlight here and then have some few discussions around that with you. Enabler 2.6, public trust in state institutions. I think you mentioned that there are some activities, some work you're doing directly related to that. But because the public perception about NASSIT, this is money issue. Do I have trust in this institution where I can keep my money for my old age? You know, that is why this enabler 2.6 actually is talking about how far are you meeting this one. You mentioned certain few of the activities you do that are directly related to this one. But if I look at the NASSIT houses you are constructing or you've constructed, what is the relationship there, the public trust in that? Because if you go to Mo, if you go to Kerrytown, we see some of these houses not occupied by citizens, and you know, maybe the perception of people or how do people look at those NASSIT houses. Is it a cost? Is it you know, I don't know. Maybe you can shed light on those things with relation to public trust, you know, and other activities that you do. The other thing also I want to look at enabler 5 under the national million-term plan. You know, these things have been broken down by the ministry. I think every year, as my chair was saying, the government of Sierra Leone we go to the UN and they present a paper as to how far we are meeting our target with regards to 2030 global, you know, stuff. That is why every year the government will take a position paper, including an alternative report from the CSOs. So I think, but we have not been doing badly with regards our CSO and that of the government. But we as institutions, we are doing the job. We are, like you know very well that it is us as institutions that will actually implement all of this. Like the two I'm just saying, enabler 2.5, we have the risk and mitigating strategies. You talked about compliance. You know, during the year, you have a strategic plan for the year. What was or what were the risks that you identify and what were the mitigating factors? I think those challenges would have come under risk, you know, and how would you mitigate those risks? What is your collaboration? Everyone was just mentioning collaboration with the Ministry of Lands in terms of encroachment, you know, in terms of enforcement of registration of company workers and other workers, the Ministry of Labour, or Ministry of the Parliament, the Ministry of the committees, you know, what is the relationship there? How are you coordinating with them so that you can mitigate this risk you now face it as a challenge? So these are some of the things we, as a committee, the chairman said outrightly that our focus as the committee on the development, planning and development, is unlike the other normal committees that will look at finance, look at agriculture and other things, you know, audit, but we are looking purposely at the development aspects of your institution. How are you supporting the government to achieve these enablers as a country? So those are the few that I picked up whilst we are presenting. I mean, maybe during your responses, or maybe we can take it as recommendation during the next strategic plans. You take those as risk, and how are you going to mitigate them? So that, I mean, every year it will not come under challenge. You know. So thank you. And this was a good presentation. Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you very much, yourself. Yes, Lamina.
Very understandable. But what I want to say here, like my colleague has already said that nobody wants an isolation, and that we should come close to the parliament. I think that is very important. I want everybody to know that our people listen to us more than any other person, because all they know my mother is coming today. I don't know with us. So if you go close to parliament and if you involve parliamentarians, I think your messages reach faster to communities.
Very good. You try to be a little bit audible.
Oh, sorry.
Throat.
So, as I was saying, that if you really make Parliament your friend in this job, because we don't want you people to work in isolation. Parliament transfer messages faster than even the media. So if you come closer to parliamentarians, our people rely on us. They listen to us. If we tell them, take your money to NASSIT, they are going to bring their money to NASSIT because they trust the parliamentarian. That is one issue. And like he was saying, we can also fight your causes because if land grabbers are giving you problem, then we have the land committee in parliament, and we can summon the minister of land to come and explain why these things are happening. So I was just trying to affirm what my colleague was saying, that if you join other forces with parliament, I think your work with the will be easier.
All right, and thank you very much. I think we really got a detailed presentation as colleague Honorable have stated. In the presentation, we need to look at how we localize some of our work to see how we respond to our finding changes. In the introduction of this report, we saw this human development as the components that NASSIT is responding to. And then, of course, going further, we saw the areas that you have actually shown strength in giving out your best in supporting some of these enablers. But this alone has actually stood out clear how you have gone to making sure that we actualize this big, it's one of the big or key big 5 big changes in the document. Because of, let's say, for the human capital development, you made efforts to construct hostels in most of the prominent institutions, colleges, universities, and Sierra Leone. But this alone, which we're expecting now, every giant institution in Sierra Leone should prioritize. And it's a key component in supporting the national development plan. And if we want to progress now by 2030, we should not play this one. It's a prominent component in the 5 big changes. Reading through the documents, you have been doing so great. Your investments, what you've been doing, you've been following that. And then you have invested so much in this country. Almost all regions you invested. As my colleague honorable stated, when we are passing by, going to Kenya, you can see your development. You go to Makeni, you can see your development. But as a patriotic Sierra Leone, we want to see how some of these investments actually support some of these developments that we are looking at. For instance, in 2010, 2011, you had a very massive structure in Kenya that we prioritized. In 2014, 15, you also constructed a very big one in the market. All of these areas are investment points for NASSIT. But I want to know, how have we been managing this multi-million projects as an institution? Because managing these institutions will actually reduce or cater for goal 1 and 2. Because in your presentation here, you indicated that our other challenges being high unemployment rates. If these investments are well managed, we know we can reduce unemployment. which will lead to goal 1 and 2, eliminating poverty and zero hunger. Now, looking at this, you've been actually investing in real estate, that we know. There are evidences. When I was studying at meeting, there was I think there were structures there around meeting. Godage. These are all investments for the finance. We want to see a plane where we can see some of these investments supporting. As we come here, we want to see this investment in maintaining economies, how it has been contributing to our social development in this country. This is the impact, this is the turnover in this presentation. Because even in your presentation, in the office, you talked about all investment environment. I was a bit worried. When investing in these areas, I've noticed as a very big institution that government rely on to foster economic development in this nation. Are we really doing what you call business scan or business analysis? Do we go to these locations? Do we know the target? Do we know the needs that we before we get into investment? And also, we have programs that I know you have initiated 5 or 6 years ago. How far have you gone? For instance, you talked about you are participating now in the development of a national social debt protection bill. How far have you gone with this one? If we can look at this one, maybe for the last 3 years we have been into this, except otherwise. Coming back to this one again, you also mentioned that you are constructing a state-of-the-art medical facility, government and other partners. I was also concerned to know these other partners involved in constructing these state-of-the-art medical facilities, because it is not clear here in this document. Government is clear, your partnership is clear, but other partners also. As I read through again under challenges 1A, we have compliance or compliance enforcement. You mentioned the challenges you have around registering and payment of social security by employers. You know, your major source as an institution is from this one, except otherwise, is from this one. So now we want to know, as an institution, because this is a challenge, and in the recommendation, I try to browse through to see which recommendation that you go for to mitigate this one. Because when NASSIT, somebody talks about NASSIT, you will say, okay, you have to go to NASSIT, you register, you pay for social insurance. But if this one is a challenge, what are the modalities that you have in place to making sure that you build this one? Also, you talked about the development of social security scheme for informers. There are people out there that want to contribute to NASSIT that are not in the formal sector. What is the information? Are they well informed? Are they well engaged? What are the strategies that you have as an institution to making sure that these people in this formal sector have the awareness? As my brother stated, somebody may work in Kono as a labourer and he wants to be part of the NASSIT. What are the outreach mechanisms or modalities that you have in place to making sure you reach out to these people that are intending to be part of the NASSIT scheme? What are the information? What are the convincing strategies that we actually give? And again, how are we handling those that are now part of the NASSIT? Someone will tell me that since I retired, I've worked to NASSIT more than 2 years now. I cannot even understand what is going there. I have tried to know my status. Someone will tell you that I have not known my status. Someone will tell you that when I people in the informal sector. So what are the things that we have put in place as an institution? We want to learn. You have given us a detailed report. Yeah? Because I know this coming here as actually, when you are giving us some of the things that we presented that you put together, I saw something like, maybe we have given more time to NASSIT to read about the SG. So we want to look at all of these ones to making sure that we have a clear work into the things that we do. Also, we talk of encroachment. You know, encroachment is, let's say, as my brother says, it's order of the day now, everywhere. But if you can see this, maybe you have already set this update again 3-4 years ago. And today we have it. Now, in your recommendation, government should support NASSIT in reclaiming the peace. But again, when you have a peace, if you have been getting issues of engagement, what step do you do? Some people, other areas that we visited, someone will say that I'll do a perimeter fence to protect the land. I'll do XYZ to protect the land. But these are all difficult situations. But I think we need to go further to protecting all of these things. So, on that note, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity and for us to zoom more on how we're going to promote this localized agenda, the National Development Plan, the Fifth Sustainable Program. We should see it in all the documents. We should see it today. Thank you for your solid presentation.
Thank you very much. We're very aware of time. So, Honorable Kumabe, I'll give you time to say something, but I humbly want to ask that you try to summarize.
Yes,
Sorry about that.
mine is going to be very deep. Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Presenter, for your eloquent presentation that you did. I just want to throw light on what my brother said, that if we have structures existing already, like hospitals that we have been around the country, why don't you provide personnel, equipment for those hospitals? If your mandate will allow you to do it, so that you can strengthen the hospitals instead of building another one. That is one thing. Then also, we see some development areas that NASSIT have done, like the quarters at Godrich, to be specific. But the costs are so high that Sierra Leoneans will not afford it. What will you do so that Sierra Leoneans will be able to afford that particular area? I wanted the place, but when I had the cost, I had to withdraw. Yes. So what will you do that when you make investments in this country, we in this country will benefit from it?
Thank you very much, the Honorable.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to ask a question. I will not take it.
Okay.
I know now be guided by time.
All right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Presenter. And I must try to say that the presentation is eloquently good. And I have a concern regarding the 15 years. I don't know whether I'm correct that you must have contributed 15 years before you can qualify to be a pensioner of NASSIT. Does that still stand? Yeah. Okay, so what happens if you are contributing and after, let me say, 10 years or so, and the means through which we are contributing just what happens to the 10 years? And most cases for us parliamentarians, most cases we go for 2 terms. When you do 2 terms, you normally you to pay for others to come in and play again. So probably the only official job you've acquired through an official means is parliament. So assuming you contributed for 2 terms, which is 10 years. So what happens to us? So these are concerns I really want to explain sometimes they baffle me. And regarding the confidence issue, Mr. Chairman, I'm so sorry. The confidence issue.
This is very good.
I've been enough since 1994.
Yeah, the confidence issue. I know most people, I think my brother have already like information of it. People are out there most of the time, for us that are not qualified yet to be a pensioner to NASSIT. They may just become worried, as educated as I am, they become worried as well. So when you want to collect your pension, when you are qualified to collect your pension, and NASSIT will be coming in and out probably for 2 to 4 years without having any headway. So I don't know how we will address that one because the public perceive that one, and anyone the public perceive it, for you to attract the other people that are not working through the official channel, for you to give them the confidence to come and make contribution to the scheme, to the estimate. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Mr. Director, what you are hearing from the member kind of tells you that when you are considering your outreach to enhance education about NASSIT, please don't leave Parliament. So I would want to, Mr. Deputy, I will kindly ask that we end the questions there. I'm sorry, please. All right, I give you 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Like 1 minute, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I cannot take the House to the areas which my colleagues have already measured, but I believe NASSIT is our future for all of us in this room and those who are not in this room. Because when your future is bright, NASSIT makes it visible. So I want to appeal that the areas where we have gaps, the area where we have challenges, to have another better plans so that we can be able to correct them for the future of the people of this nation. My contribution is a chairman, I have a lot, but let me just go to the. Thank you, sir. He said it has been in the development of the National Social Protection Bill. This is very important, Mr. Chairman, because when we talk of NASSIT, we are talking of the contributing scheme. The people who contributed their monies to the scheme, while the social protection will cater for the non-contributing scheme. And all of us came from the villages. You can see by Alpha in Vaticano, who has been a very rich man, but because he's not part of the NASSIT, at the end of the day, Alpha or Pastor became old, he cannot be able to take care of himself. So I don't know, maybe this bill has not reached to Parliament. But while we are continuing participating in this bill, I want to ask you kindly to consider those factors. Because there are people who have already worked in this nation, who are farmers and other areas of their body. So please try to capture them in that bill so that we can see how far. And also there's an issue under social protection. We don't know who champions social protection. You can agree with me that NASSA is saying the championing, Minister of Labour will say we are ahead. There's an issue of the who champions the social protection in this nation. So please also put them take into consideration when you go into that bill as people who participated in that bill. Once again, I want to say thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think I should take 1 minute. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I am aware today is Monday, and there's a whole lot that these people need to do. We cannot afford to continue to take their time. We have to be very grateful that they offered us this opportunity. So thank you very much again, Director and team. I know you have been taking copious notes, and you'll get and you will respond in good time. Sorry?
Yeah, well, this engagement is important. We don't mind continuity tomorrow morning. Very critical.
Thank you very much. Thank you. What has shown here clearly is that NASSIT is very important for the country. And through the reports, through the various, reports that we have received, through our very anecdotal experience of NASSIT, we know, and that's why I stated before, it's like asking the obvious question. We know they are supporting. You see, with the new trend in the world, we cannot afford to challenge our women. She's requesting for a minute to say something. So let us please allow her. The 30% in play. Thank you to President Manadio.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair.
Yes.
Thank you all for listening to us this afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Presenter. Your presentation was very nice and we enjoyed it, but we have some few things to, to look at. Basically, I want to bring to your attention concerning about I saw here on page 2, 1.1. A. Provision of pensions and other related financial benefits to workers in the public and private sectors. Honestly, our people are suffering. As an institution, we have to go back to the drawing board. I have a recommendation here to you. Please, whenever an institution or an organization, they have their staff, they want to recruit and all, please let it be mandatory to your institution, to your own institution. Because if you don't go there and know how many people are they recruiting and how many staffs they have, for you also to have the correct, because you are talking of your challenges. On your challenges you presented to us here, you said you have challenges on proper documentation or proper, let me just watch.
Compliance.
Yeah, correct, yes. You said on the compliance, you need what you want to see happen to give you a correct information of the staffs people we have in their institution. Please, that's one, I'm bringing this recommendation. You have to go and do your first-hand verification to the institutions. If not, there is still going to be a gap, there is still going to be a challenge. Because they will not give you the correct information you need for your own consumption. And the people are suffering. Though the people that are working with these institutions are suffering, particularly the disease, for the disease. When these people are no more, their beneficiaries will struggle, going up and down, going ups and down for them to have the pension of their relatives. That one will not happen. They will continue coming to NASSIT and NASSIT will do nothing about it. They will say, go back to the institution. There will be a back and forth process. And our people are they are suffering. Honestly, they are suffering. I have a case here with me. Even whilst I'm talking this one, I have a case with me. After the meeting, I would like to share this matter to you. The case with me here as I'm speaking. Please, it's very much important. You have to do your first-time verification whatsoever you want to do recruitment and the workers of each and every institution. I thank you for your
Thank you, Madam Honorable, and I want to also thank, by extension, thank all the other members who have contributed to this engagement. I will try to wrap up in order for us to give the director an opportunity to respond. We have to remind ourselves that the essence for this meeting, the reason for which we are here, is to get first-hand information, to get information, data, as is needed, to inform Parliament, to inform the Ministry with regards to development planning. All that you have been saying is very relevant, But I want to properly zoom few aspects that I noted that are also very relevant to this particular aspect. They relate to what we want to get. The obvious is what they are doing is definitely contributing. I am very particular about how do we make it better. I'm very particular about how challenges can be circumvented. So in this case, we refer back to a very pertinent part of the SDGs and the medium-term national development plan, and that is means of implementation. For the SDGs, it is clear that these global objectives have been couched. They cannot see light of day if they are not implemented effectively. For political will, all the efforts to ensure that the necessary resources are made. So locally as well, with the medium-term national development plan, it's an aspiration that will not see light of day if we do not work collaboratively, if we work in silos. So here, policy coherence comes to the fore. How do we align our activities, our aspirations? I think the director mentioned how do we pull up resources to help the process. So this is where I talk about, or I ask the question relating to compliance, as was presented by Mr. Kolobo. The question is, what is your relationship with, for instance, the Ministry of Labour? The second one is there any legislation that will effectuate this aspect of compliance? If no, why is there no legislation? Again, it's about how do we work inside, do we work collaboratively and not inside? The poor investment environment. What is your relationship with, for instance, Bank of Australia? This committee will want to know this. Some of these are going to be our own take home to the Parliament and to the ministry. Because these, if taken seriously, they can help us pull the necessary resources together to help in the implementation of the plan. Other than that, that is a problem. I sat down and listened to the presentation I've read, and I'm impressed to say this. And I know you have been doing your best. I know some of these challenges are very, very existential. So I am happy to note or to know that there are efforts to ensure that we target the informal sector, because clearly your research is showing, and I think it is a reason that there is where we can maybe get more and more. I would not sit down here and assume that you have not done your best to ensure that people are convinced. But I'm sure if a member of parliament is seeking some understanding around some areas, I'm sure maybe the need is still there. The need is still there. So, the special scheme, Mr. Kaloko mentioned the special scheme. Is it already in place, or is it being thought about? Then there are projects that referenced, right? Like we provide all full support towards the recommendations, for instance, provide full support towards the development of a social security scheme. I would personally, this committee would personally want to know. You reference government support. You want government support, government buying in this one. It will do us good if you are a little bit more specific in what areas and government to your well. But these are going to be our own. I want to assure you that whatever we are doing here is not going to end in the dustbin. We will be presenting this in a report that will be legislated. If you followed Parliament of late, when the new speaker was elected to the position, what he promised everyone in this nation was to say every oversight report was going to be looked at, was going to be debated in Parliament, and any relevant issues will be taken up. I'm sure you may have heard this from the new Speaker of Parliament. He is taking these exercises very serious, very, very serious. So whatever we are taking from here would be, form part of a report that will be tendered to Parliament, and the likelihood for that report to be debated is very, very high. And certain aspects of, what we have gathered might, Parliament might be further follow on that. Maybe you might even be invited back to Parliament to either give further clarity on this one and how to see how Parliament would be a partner in ensuring that those challenges are ameliorated. So we are interested to know about this. The unfavorable environment is certainly, for me, I know, certainly a problem. The projects, the participating investment projects for national development, part of your activity plan for 2019, 2019. But to those who, if you were able to highlight a few, maybe you have spoken about that when you are reporting. And yes, I've inquired about the scheme. If it's already in place, or you're still thinking about that. So, in essence, I won't want to bore you further. These are the big areas that I have an interest in. To know how, with these challenges, have you identified partners that you could work with to ensure that these challenges are targeted? The Ministry of Labour for compliance, the stock exchange, and those other relational problems, the Bank of Leone, and yes, just to say, I think you addressed the areas of the areas that requested information on the enablers and the 5 game changers, and you even went beyond. So I want to thank you very much for that. So, Mr. Director, without much ado, let me hand over the mic to you.
Thank you very much, Chairman, Honorable House of Parliament. You have highlighted series of questions, concerns, comments, which I believe we have from our end, technical and competent individuals to provide responses. After their responses, probably I will just give a quick synopsis of what I think the comments they make. Generically, the comments were categorized into public education and sensitization, for which we have the general manager, public affairs and events management. He will comment on those. You spoke about contribution statements and members not having social security numbers. There is the general manager of operations. He will comment on that. You mentioned about delays in payment of social security benefits, which we have some of our honorable members of parliament have first-hand examples that they have shared with us and they want to communicate with us. We also have the general manager of benefits here, who is adequately prepared to make responses to. And of course, you also mentioned as to whether business analysis are done on our businesses, and members could also raise concerns as to whether it will be prudent to have a state-of-the-art medical facility or to collaborate with existing facilities to deliver medical services to the country. Of course, I will speak on that. Then somebody also asked what happens if you are the minimum qualifying condition for pension, they say is 15 years, 180 months in the Act. If somebody, a parliamentarian, contributes for 10 years, what happens? She is here, she will provide the answer. So over to you, my technical people. Whoever wants to start, will start.
Thanks very much. I want to thank the honorable members of Parliament for this session. What I want to say is going to be brief. Our radio discussion programs, our television discussion programs are done in look at language of the area. For instance, if you are in Go, we do all our engagements in Creole and Mende, and not English. If you are in Makeni, Creole and Benin, and not English. In Freetown is Creole. The reason is, the reason why we add Creole, because you might be in Makeni, but you cannot still speak Benin. You can speak Creole. So that is why in all those areas, we make sure we have both Creole and the language, the areas, location, exactly. And I quite agree that we need to do more, especially for our honorable members of Parliament. Recently, we had a seminar for the Labour Committee. One of our members was there, and it was also agreed that we extend some of these seminars and workshops to other committee members, because probably we may not have Parliament as a body, but if we have the committees, then we'll be able to do justice to our PR campaign, right?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, operations.
Thank you very much, Honorable members. In terms of registration of our members, really, of late, that is the exact strategy we've adopted. What we've done is we've given our hand-on training to the guys. Most of these big establishments have given our social security funds, and we've appealed to them to make the funds part of the document that is completed at the point of release. So, going forward, that is the exact strategy. We are closely working with all the big establishments in terms of recruitment. In terms of statement of account, any one of you here, once you have a social security number, if you step into any of our offices, they will give you a statement. That besides, we also request employers to give us the list of their employees. Once we receive that on yearly basis, we produce statements. So statement goes from two fronts, from individuals requesting or from establishments requesting. Most times the problem is most people don't really come forward to request for their statement. That is important. Any one of you here, if you are to call on any of our regional offices after here, we will give you a statement, as long as you have our social security number.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sam. Yes, benefits. I think benefits, you are the center of everything.
Don't forget the
Thank you very much.
Yes, she will handle that.
I want to thank the honorable member for Parliament very much for having this session with us. Something which we appreciate very much. We are not taking it light. One thing I want to say before I continue to the questions is that NASSIT as a social security institution brings social cohesion within this society, because social security is about us, it's about society. So it goes, it transcends party politics, it transcends religion, it transcends tribe, it transcends region. It's about us putting our resources together, making sure we help one another. But in the process of doing that, before you come to contribute to the scheme, we want to know who you are. How do we do that? We want to identify you. You are the person they are paying for. We want to know you. So the first thing you do, like Mr. Sam said, We give you a form, you complete for us. We ask you different questions. We don't ask about your tribe or about your religion. We don't ask about your party affiliation. On the form is your name, your marital status, how much you earn, where you are working, the names of your dependents, who your parents are. So when we have this, we store them in our records. In case anything goes wrong, this is where we go back, because actually we are covering over 200,000+ members. We don't know them individually, but we know you by the form you have sent to us. So in case anything happens, we go back to our records to recall these people. So it's like doing a bank transaction. If Parliament is now paying all the parliamentarians through the banks, and they just say Ibrahim Toure, Ibrahim Kamara, no bank account numbers, the banks cannot apply that. That is very important that we ensure they have social security numbers. These numbers are what we identify with our members with. So when you contribute, we pay. When you contribute, we record the transaction in that social security number, which stands as a bank account where we deposit all your monies. At the end of the day, what happens is, if a member retires, 3 months to the retirement period, we would have sent a letter to you, or at the start of the year, in January, we sent to all the institutions, especially the public sector institutions, to say, this year, how many people are you expecting to retire within the institution? The reason why we are doing this is to ensure we don't delay with the processing of your benefits. But what happens to most people is they give their monies, they bring their monies to NASSIT, they turn their backs from NASSIT. They don't follow up with NASSIT, they don't ask for statements of contributions. A month or two before they retire, they now come to NASSIT and we realize that there are gaps in your contributions for a number of reasons we cannot tell. Were you suspended? Were you terminated? What are the reasons why you are not paid for this period? And because we want to pay the right person, the right amount at the right time, we will not go ahead to process the benefits. What we will do is to investigate why all of these things happen. So let's say, for instance, there is a gap in 2005. Maybe the admin or the finance person in that institution may have left the institution, they don't know the records. You know, one thing we have to bear in mind is the issue of records keeping in this country is still very good. We are working towards it, and we know not very long from now we'll have to correct it, and then we have a steady work to do. But most of the time, these people will not respond to our requests because we have to send to you to say there is a gap in contribution for this period. Can we have an explanation? Because if we are suspended, we don't expect the employer to pay for it. If we are on leave of absence, we don't expect the employer to. So we want to have this reason. But at times, the director of operations will be will send these letters to the institutions. It takes them ages before they get back to us. We even do follow-up letters because we want to process these benefits. But like the Christians say, what we don't do, our treasure is in NASSIT, but we don't have our hearts in NASSIT. They will only come when they are faced with the situation where they want to get their monies from NASSIT. And we don't just speak anyhow. At times we learn, and we have learned from our experiences. We have had situations in which we have paid the wrong people. Yes, we have had those very few situations. So now what we do is we correct them through our processes. When you come to do an update of your information in the system, because some people have registered since 2002 or 2003. They have been married, they have given back to a number of children, they have divorced the first wife, or the first wife would have died. We don't know about it. But what we have in our records is what we want to do. They will not update us with anything. And when this person dies, the member may have suggested Maria to come to. Then at the end of the day, you have a Fatuta Lawali who will come to claim as the wife. You don't have information about it. You just don't go to claim. We have to investigate. At times we go as far as Kailam to every other town, or city, or village, or chiefdom to talk about these things.
Are you getting that, sir?
Yes, I'm listening.
Are you getting that?
Yes. So we go to everywhere.
Why?
Why chairman?
Maybe he's referencing the chairman because the chairman is Payamba and Payamba is different.
This is going for me.
That's for you.
what we do when you come to update your records, if you say you have a new wife, come with the marriage certificate. That has helped us. If you have other children, come with their marriage certificate. So that at the end of the day, when the member dies, you will not give us a name of Joseph Tula, who is 5 years of age, and somebody comes with a birth certificate that is 18 years or 19. We have all of those. So we are learning from our experiences. If they say we are delaying, yes, we have a good reason to do it. For example, a member would want to, I have come to register with NASSIT. My name is Victoria Mansalo. When I now retire, I come to NASSIT with 5 additional names. Victoria, Kadiatu, Christiana, something. We don't pay. We have to make sure we are paying the right person. So we have to investigate. The records we have to do. And thankfully enough now, NCRA is helping us. So before you have your NASSIT number, you have gone through a lot of other things so that we synchronize our data. Because we want to talk about this specific person. It's Joseph Conte. It's this very specific one that NCRA is referring to, NASSIT is referring to, the bank is referring to, every other person is referring to. We are working on that and we are making progress on that. So when that happens, it delays the process, not from our own side, but on the side of the document. Some people have different dates of birth, they have different, all manner of things. So we are learning from that experience to take our time. Because if we pay the wrong person, that does not preclude us from paying the right person. So we don't want to be having all of this. And the other one, honorable member, you are talking about 10 years of contribution. Okay. For you to qualify for a benefit, a pension, NASSIT, there are 2 necessary and sufficient conditions. The one is you must have contributed for a minimum of 180 months, which is 15 years. The other one is that you must have been either 55 years or above. So if you have contributed for just 10 years and you have still not attained the age of 55, we want to encourage you, even if you leave Parliament, to continue to contribute as a self-employed, so that you boost up the pension. By the time you go to 55 or 60, you would have gathered a lot of money to be able to get either a pension or you have a grant. So if you are 55 and above, you still continue to pay until you are 60, because it helps you to enhance your pension at the end of the day. So basically, these are the things that are holding us back to be processing benefits on time. There are some people, when they die, their immediate family members will bring other people to come and claim the benefit. The wife will be seated there. The children, who are the direct beneficiaries, will be seated there. Nobody comes. The brothers or the sisters will now bring their own children to come and claim the benefit. We have had those instances. At times we end up at the CID, at times we end up at the police. A lot of things are happening. So we just want to take our time, because these monies are our monies. As a society, as a nation, we have been generous enough to come together. It's about income redistribution, like my colleague said here. You give to some, you take from some. But by and large, if there is any problem, sir, we want to address those issues. And like my colleague said, we have to always have the opportunity. Now, we know we don't have a list in public. That is very true. We go to the radio every other week. So now what we are doing, we have changed our strategy. In addition to what we are doing, we go to the schools because we want to catch them young. When we talk to the children, we go home and talk to their parents. Hey, mama, papa, NASSIT, they go to video. And so they say, you get NASSIT number, all of those things. They are also ambassadors of the school. We now go to the colleges and the universities. So if, for example, we go to the college, we don't go there to speak English, because it's not about the lecturers and the students. It's about the beginners, those other people that don't understand English. We go there, we speak Creole, they ask questions, we explain to them. We're doing a lot of things. We're on social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. We just want to propagate the good news of NASSIT so that every single Ghanaian understands what is in it for them and try to come on board, so that at the end of the day, we alleviate poverty and we want to do. So that is what we do. Thank you very much.
Yes, okay.
Chair, I have a question, please. Permit me.
No, you're not.
No, just.
It's their own turn to respond.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ms. Ray. You have touched on a very important area, the area of updates. I am sure even within this room, a good number of us may not have updated our records. A good number of us, at the time we joined this scheme, we may have been single, we may not have had children, and along the line, we may have had our spouses now, we now have children. Have we come back to NASSIT to give us that information? If the answer is no, then the delay that honorable members mentioned is bound to occur. And it will occur because we have designed it that way as members of the scheme. Because the responsibility of updating your records rests on you. When you look at the act that brought this scheme into existence, there are clearly defined mandates and there are clearly defined responsibilities in the act. The responsibility of giving NASSIT your correct date of birth, your correct name, your correct details, the name of your spouse or spouses, the names of your children, rest on you. This administration, they are no magicians. They will not know your date of birth. They will not know if you are married. They will not know if you have children if you do not provide that information. So, I will thank you and request all of us to play our roles in the shared responsibility. The employers should play their own role by vetting the records, the information that you, the employees, will provide them. And NASSIT will play their responsibility, their own role of managing the information that you have given and has been authenticated by your employer. They will keep in stock for your future. That is when in the House of Parliament certainly require public education. Because most often, where it's not only Parliament, we have had similar, I would say it should be either knowledge gap or some level of, I don't know, the public education people will find a way of describing it. I don't want to say knowledge gap.
Yes.
We have seen that demonstrated even among the judiciary.
Yes.
We have seen that demonstrated among teachers and university lecturers who we consider to be highly educated. So, to me, that's a well-placed request. GM Public Affairs,
Yes, sir.
please take note of that and draw up a program for the various committees for the House of Parliament. And also, somebody mentioned about why are we thinking of having state-of-the-art medical facilities? I am sure all of us here are witnesses to the fact that what is actually killing us in our country is not the lack of drugs, but poor diagnosis of medical conditions. If you take a look at almost all the hospitals that we have mentioned that we have, the level of diagnosis is at its lowest ebb. So if you want to be treated for malaria when you have something else, I think then the suggestion of us just collaborating will come to play. But we have looked at it and realized that we spend more on medical evacuations in this country than any other places. You either hear they have flown somebody to Ghana, flown somebody to Turkey, flown somebody to India, flown somebody to Senegal, as the case might be. And at times, what they will fly in for would be simple diagnosis. At the end of the day, they end up giving you a tablet that is just a single tablet that you have flown away from Sierra Leone just to go how many $1,000 in flight for a drug that you can buy for few euros. So it is against that background that we think there is need for us to have a state-of-the-art medical facility that will not only focus on curation, but proper diagnosis. It is when you are properly diagnosed that a doctor can link your diagnosis to a medical drug. So to me, I still believe that yes, it's a good suggestion that you have made, but as an institution, we are looking at it from a different perspective, for which we want your support. Then you also mentioned, how do you want government to support? Firstly, for social security to triumph in any country, you need to have strong laws, and the laws should be in harmony. We have seen mining disagreements that are in disagreement with social security law. We have had situations where, I am not blaming you, we have had situations where mining disagreements have totally said you should not pay social security for employees, especially foreign workers. When in fact, the laws of, if you look at ILO convention, it prohibits discrimination. Why are you discriminating the foreign workers, when in fact the same contingencies that affect us affect them? Some of us, we are lucky when we went to study, we had some few jobs. As long as you work in UK, you will pay NI, whether you like it or not, because it is a law. Now we have all of those laws that we have conflicting with the Social Security Act, and it is passed by the same parliament. So probably as part of the request, that whenever you are discussing critical agreements and laws that impinge on social security, bring in the experts. And the only expert institution for social security is NASSIT. You also mentioned the issue of our landed assets. The concept behind investing in land was as a way of maintaining the real value of your money. Other social security schemes have done it, they invested in land banks, because land is one asset that appreciates over time. But in our circumstance, almost all the landed property that we have is well demarcated. We have very high pillars, not even bakings. Pillars. Some are even fenced. Those that are fenced are even still encroached upon. Go to grafting. So it's not about not protecting your land. It is about the aggressive nature of encroachment by the same Sierra Leoneans. And mind you, all of us, including the parliamentarians, your money is in those lands. So you have the right to protect it. Our monies are there. So if we don't try as much as we can to protect them, it means, one, there will be challenge with sustainability of the scheme, which is what he mentioned. So as a government, we are appealing that you use your good offices to protect the investment assets of NASSIT, because they are meant, the benefits that this scheme covers are long-term in nature. If we don't protect the funds, by the time you retire, the sustainability will be questionable. So I thank you for that concern, and we pray that you join us in the crusade to protect the property of NASSIT, especially the landed property of NASSIT. Then you also mentioned the informal sector scheme. Of course, he has mentioned it. As a way of giving you a quick update, we have had several engagements with different informal sector groups, because there is a clearly defined roadmap in designing a scheme of this nature. We consulted ILO, who are the experts in designing a scheme of this nature. We developed a roadmap. They set up technical committees as well as steering committees at national level, and the benefits. So that study is ongoing. But I think it's at the end of this month. We are now this month. We are expecting draft of the report to be presented. That report will be presented again to the technical committee, steering committee, and the various stakeholders that we have consulted during the study. After which, that report will be presented, of course, to our board and eventually to minister, who will also present it at cabinet before it gets to parliament. I'm sure you are draft lawmakers, you know the processes that are involved in making such legislations. So the process is ongoing, and we believe that the bulk of our workforce is in the informal sector. When you address the issues of the informal sector, you would have addressed greater part of the poverty challenges that we are having. So, if as a way of making a quick update. Then you also mentioned our relationship with Bank of Sierra Leone. The scheme, you designed a very good law as at the time of designing it. Because government, social protection is state responsibility. Government did not renege on their obligation as a state. On the part of government, we have the governor of the Bank of Sierra Leone represented on our board. On the part of government, we have Minister of Finance represented on the board. On the part of government, we have the Minister of Labour represented, and I think Social Welfare also represented. Then, because ILO defines that you should have a tripartite board, we have Employers Federation represented, we have Labour Congress represented. So it's a well-structured board that speaks to collaboration at every level. So if you had asked about our relationship with BSL, BSL is part of the governance structure of this institution. And also, luckily for you, like I mentioned, we should have strong laws and laws in harmony. That has not been actualized, because when initially the concept of NASSIT was espoused, it was conceived that at some point government pension was going to fade out. It was going to phase out and all payments would be NASSIT pension. But that has not been the case, because the NASSIT Act did not repeal other laws. We have the State Pensions and Gratuities Act that is still in operation. We have the Parliamentary Pensions Act that is still in operation. We have the Judges Pension Act that is still in operation. We have the President and Vice President Pension Act that is still in operation. And all of them have their eligibility conditions and cessation conditions. For you, the parliamentarians, immediately you serve one term in parliament, you are eligible to become a parliamentary pensioner. That is quite different from the NASSIT pension. So you realize that in terms of pension payment, if you had contributed as a parliamentarian to the NASSIT scheme and you are eligible for pension, you have NASSIT pension. At the same time, you will be eligible for government pension. So you have two pensions.
Two blessings.
So these are all part of the education that the chairman is requesting. These are all part of the education that the chairman is requesting that we continue to give so that we have. So without wasting time, okay, there was a question on investment. Okay, yeah, Bank of Sierra Leone.
Like the has just explained, we also have a tripartite kind of arrangement with the Bank of Sierra Leone and the Convention of Finance. Of course, we know government makes contribution payments to the Confederation Investment. This payment to the Bank of Sierra Leone, there are accounting, and we already know we will pay when our accounts are credited. So we are in constant touch with the Bank of Sierra Leone. We do attend seminars, and apart from that, in terms of economic development, we also participate in what we call the money market.
When you talk about NASSIT investment, many times people think of affordable housing, about hospitality industries, but there are other investments that are not tangible. That is where we have the fixed income assets. Most of these are in government securities, which we participate in, and those are the type of assets I manage. Talk about the money market, government securities, treasury bills, bonds. These are operated from the Bank of CNO on behalf of government, which is participating. As I'm speaking now, close to 50% of our assets, our liquid assets, are in government securities. So we are very much.
All right.